Wrapping it up on Sports Bit, Betting Insight today, Pauly and Teddy. Time for the deep dive. I think the committee got it right with the 4 teams that'll play in the semifinals. Teddy doesn't care. Just give us games to talk about. Give us games to break down. And you can go on your rant here. But listen, it's a moving target as far as what's the criteria and what's important from one year to the next. You'll agree on that.
Moving target. It's not a moving target. It's completely random. It does. Okay, first of all, did the committee get it right? Yeah, probably. I don't know. But I'm not approaching this like a fan, and neither should you. Give me games. Give us point spreads. Give us totals. Let us pick winners. That's our job. The committee's job is to pick the 4 playoff teams using whatever arbitrary criteria they choose to use. Do I care that Washington got in and Ohio State got in and Penn State got left out? Not even a little bit. And given that the committee has no actual metrics, how do we criticize them? Their job is to make money for the networks. Their job is to give the public the games they want to watch. Everything else is just window dressing, complete nonsense, much like the committee members trying to explain their decision-making process.
Sure. Early bowl lines, we'll preview each and every one of the bowl games right here on SportsBit. No one else is going to do that. We'll talk about every game coming up. And we've seen some live movement already here, Teddy, with some of these games.
Yeah, we sure have. All right. There are half a dozen games where what I'm going to call a mature market already, where multiple books have had numbers up, bettable numbers up, and the bettors have already gotten in. These lines may well still move, but here's the graphic. It'll show you the lines that we have. Michigan, 6.5 over Florida State. Alabama, 15.5 over Washington. And again, these are consensus lines. You can find still Michigan -7 or Michigan -6. Alabama's from 14.5 to 16.5. Ohio State's pretty much down to 3 against Clemson now. Wisconsin, 7 against Western Michigan now. USC, 7 against Penn State. Oklahoma, 5 against Auburn. Now, we've seen early money on all of these games. The very first bets came for Florida State against Michigan. They came for Alabama against Washington. They came for Clemson against Ohio State. Western Michigan took money against Wisconsin. That was plus 7.5 down to 7. Penn State took a little bit of money. And Auburn took a little bit of money. So that's the very first lines and the very first line movement. But as you mentioned, all 40 bowl games, each and every one of them will be previewed right here on SportsBit. We crushed bowl season last year. And frankly, don't you dare miss a single episode down the stretch of the 2016 football campaign. You better tell your friends, too. Watch SportsBit. Get the info that you deserve.
All right, on to what happened over the weekend. Bad bets. Clemson bet from 9.5 to 11.5 against Tech. They won by 7. They had to hang on for dear life in that one as Evans and Virginia Tech moving it at will in the second half.
Yeah, and remember, the Tigers led by 3 touchdowns in that game. But the defense couldn't hold. I mean, the Hokies' touchdown with less than 6 minutes was the last score of the game. You could say Virginia Tech came through the back door against Clemson, but that was a good result for the house. Clemson bet up from 9.5 to 11.5. They did not get the money.
Boy, was West Virginia flat. 17.5-point favorite against Baylor. They're lucky they won.
Yeah, they really were. I mean, and I was glad. This is what research. This is why we do. At least for me, I get to do this full time. So I spent all day looking up stuff, running stats, and finding good information. I've read an article from Morgantown last week talking about there were some quotes indicating they might be a little bit flat, and they were flat as a pancake. A bet that you lose saves 1.1 units. A bet that you win gains only 1, so avoiding a loser is actually 10% more important to your bankroll than picking a winner. Baylor, the right side there. The bettors got West Virginia wrong.
Another bad bet, the SEC championship game under. Oh, my God. 8th straight year this game has gone over. We told you on SportsBit Thursday about all the injuries with that Florida defense.
Yeah, I mean, Bama cashed the over all by themselves. It was never in doubt, and there was no shortage of championship game money under because no one could figure out how Florida was going to score. Florida didn't need to score. Bama did it by themselves.
All right, bad for the books. I don't know how many people actually took Louisiana Tech, but Western Kentucky scored late to get the money.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it would have been a bad beat for Louisiana Tech backers if there were any Louisiana Tech backers. It was a terrible beat for the books. Western Kentucky bet from -7.5 to -12 over La Tech. We had the over here on SportsBit. That was nice and easy. 102 points scored in the game, but the bettors didn't have the right side. Tech led outright in the second half. Western Kentucky scores on a 13-yard touchdown with 58 seconds remaining on the clock. That's the only time in the game the Hilltoppers ever cover the number. But was the most important time of the game to do that.
Bad for the books, the Mountain West Conference title game. It was cold in Laramie, and they bet the total from 62.5 down to 58, 27-24 final.
Sure, there was a lot of Wyoming money in that game as well. So the combination of Wyoming and under was a bad result for the house. Neither team got to 350 yards of total offense in that one.
And one more, Friday night, they bet Washington up to 8 over Colorado. They blew them out, won by 31. The Buffaloes fought hard, but when Lufau got hurt, why'd they bring him back in? He couldn't plant. I think he completed 3 passes. He kept throwing interceptions. And I'll tell you, this is something to watch when Washington plays Bama. Browning was horrible for Washington.
The Browning was worse than horrible. I honestly think he was worse than he was in the USC game when they lost 26-13. But that's twice he's faced quality defenses, and twice he's looked like a deer in the headlights. And yet Washington still wins and covers with room to spare. Bad result for the house in that game. The Huskies took a lot of wise guy money.
Hey guys, for the full video, go to sbrpicks.com.
Go to sbrodds.com. Browse, compare, and shop live odds available at top online sportsbooks.